Fam, what up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video here on the JTsuits YouTube channel. Make sure you're giving this video a nice thumbs up. Leave a good old comment because we're doing a Navy video today because I have some interesting things to talk to you guys about, man. But first, before we get into the video, I just want to send my condolences over to the 7th Fleet, over to Japan for yet again another collision. This one looked like it was during a Straits transit into Singapore. The USS John McCain collided with a merchant vessel. I know we just had the collision a couple weeks ago with the Fitzgerald. So far it says 5 minor injuries, 10 are missing. Being that it was a Straits transit, hopefully everybody was up and awake and it can find those missing personnel, but it does look like another berthing was hit, man. This is crazy. I don't know what's going on over there with the 7th Fleet. Something needs to change. This is just unreal. Like you guys know, I myself was deployed in the 7th Fleet out of Itsugi. I was on the carrier, the USS George Washington. Did do 2 deployments out of Yokosuka. So this is bizarre. I don't know what is going on over there. Now getting into the video though for today, we got a nice Navy topic, so make sure, man, we get the demonetization crew, demonetization squad. Throw it up, boy. The secret parts of my Navy job. So I've talked about my Navy job a lot, aviation structural mechanic, AM, one of the most common aviation jobs. This could also apply to many other aviation jobs, AD, AT, AE, AO even. So when you go to MEPS, when you pick your job, the stuff that I'm going to talk about isn't necessarily in the job description. There's no way you can find out that you're going to be doing this until you get out in the fleet. So that's why I'm calling it, you know, the secret parts, because I had no idea I would be doing these things that I did. So we're going to start off first with landing signalman enlisted. I've talked about this a bunch, so we're just going to get it out of the way. I had no idea I would be launching and recovering helicopters off of the flight deck on Navy aircraft carriers. I had no idea I'd be doing that. That was one of the funnest parts of my job, being an aviation mechanic. I got to do that because I was attached with a squadron. I was organizational level. So you guys that are having aviation jobs, when you try to pick your orders, or if you get to decide, make sure you go O level if you want to get to a squadron and potentially be an F-18 shooter, or on the other side like I did, a landing signalman enlisted. This next secret part I got to do was drive a freaking tow tractor. So a tow tractor is, it's kind of like think of like a tugboat. There's this little tractor that pushes around these huge, very, very expensive $50 million helicopters. I worked on the anti-submarine helicopters. We called them like $45 million paperweights. You know, these things were so expensive, had so much technology. Anti-submarine was our main mission. There was the MH-60 Romeos. So being part of a squadron, this is another job you get to do, is get tow tractor qualified. You have to move the aircraft in and out of the hangar bay when you're on land. You also have to move the aircraft all the way. You have to tow it across the flight line. You have to talk with air traffic control up in the tower to get permission to cross the flight line. You have to move it to the wash rack and back. So I became a freaking expert tow tractor driver. Like, I'd be able to back up or push a trailer with a boat on it, dude, in my sleep. You either push or pull the aircraft. So you hook up a tow bar to the tail landing gear, then you hook it up to either the front or the back of the tow tractor. So if you're towing the helicopter, you have me that would be driving it. You have a plane captain that's in front, just giving me hand signals, just directing me, which I also did that part. You have 2 wing walkers on the side and 1 in the back to make sure that I don't hit anything. Because imagine pushing and pulling a $50 million aircraft. You have room for 0 mistakes. So we'd have to fit all 5 helicopters inside our hangar bay. So you have very, very little room for error because all these helicopters are parked right next to each other. So the hard part is not pulling. an aircraft. The hard part is pushing a helicopter. When you're pushing it, any little direction that you do with the wheel of the tow tractor is gonna move the helicopter drastically. So you have to develop very, very good skills. You have to practice a lot, especially when you move these aircraft in the hangar bay. No room for air. You have to be a freaking expert with the tow tractor. So that was really fun that I got to do. This other job that I got to do was being a forklift driver. You don't have to get these qualifications. I worked really hard and got a lot of extra qualifications to help my eval so I can make rank really fast. This was another reason why I made E5 right under 3 years, starting off as an E1 in boot camp. Because I worked really hard, I grinded, I got all the qualifications that you could freaking get, I tried to get. So I was a forklift driver. I got forklift qualified. I still have my certification with all my paperwork today. Basically, they used me on deployment when we would onload and offload. So it was a lot of work. I don't recommend. I was the last one to go to sleep and the last one and the first one to wake up when it came to offload and onload, because there was an armada of forklifts. They would load all these boxes, all these crates, all these pallets on the first day of deployment, and we would just be forklifted up. We'd be hauling freaking booty. I'd be driving this thing around so fast, man. I was a freaking expert on the forklift as well. So that was I never thought I would be a freaking forklift expert and a tow tractor expert and also direct launch and recover helicopters, being an aviation mechanic. I had no idea I'd be doing all these things. So there's a lot of awesome secret jobs that your rate might have. You might be able to do all these, awesome things. This last one I'm gonna talk about is another job. This was more of a chill, really cushy job that I got to do. A lot of junior sailors who have to do TAD, temporary assigned duty. Now I got a hookup before I got sent out on my first deployment on the Lincoln. Before I went over to Japan, I did a 9-month deployment on the Lincoln, a world tour / combat deployment to the Persian Gulf for OIF, OEF. So I didn't have to go cranking. I didn't have to do cranking duty, go food service and wash dishes for 12 hours because I got hooked up and got to do my TAD on the beach. I was a parts driver. So literally while everyone was working like 8, 9, 10, 11-hour days, getting ready for deployment, doing all these things, I got to knock my TAD out of the way so I didn't have to do it on deployment. I was driving around aircraft parts, just delivering them from the warehouse to different squadrons around the base. I would do that for maybe, 5 hours, 6 hours max. Out of those 6 hours, I was really only driving around for like 3 hours. I had 5-6 hour days for 3 months. The most easiest freaking job, and I'm still getting paid. I still get paid the same as Seaman Schmuckatelli, who's working 12 hours a day at the squadron. I'm working 6 hours a day, driving aircraft parts. So I got to do all these freaking awesome jobs. You guys potentially will have collateral duties. We also call it a collateral duty. So if you have collateral duties, your job is gonna, you might not do that exact job that you signed up for. You might have to do some other things. Depends on your rate. Choose your rate, pick your fate. But all right, fam, hey, I appreciate all the freaking support. I hope you guys enjoyed this Navy video. If you do, man, make sure you leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, because it really helps out the channel. I'm trying to figure out this YouTube demonetization thing while I'm getting flagged with limited to no ads. I believe a lot of it might due to like the metadata. A lot of people are like, JT, you can just do different tags, you can do different thumbnails. If you guys know, Google has a new AI system, like smart computer technology thing that they implemented through YouTube, where it tracks all my words. It transcribes every single thing that I say. So if it notices I'm saying a lot of military and Navy terms or Navy type language, it automatically flags my video, because advertisers don't want to be associated with any type of not advertiser friendly content. It's so ironic, man. I believe that they should use Navy and military type videos. Like, we should be in a separate category where, like, hey, we need people to defend our country and we need people to join the Navy so I can have free speech. But, you know, just, that's why I shouldn't put all my eggs in one basket with YouTube. My freaking cat using the litter box right as I wrap up this video. Thank you, Millie Moo. Thank you. I just cleaned. It's every time I clean these litter boxes, right after I clean them and make them nice, they drop loads in them. Alright, I'm probably gonna get a nice stench here soon. Appreciate all the support, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're grinding. We're back on the grind, poppies. My boy.